All right. I hope latency isn't that bad tonight. Hello, hello, hello. How we doing? Who's out there? Who can hear me? Are we live? We are live. Oh. We are live. We are live. We are live. And we shouldn't take too much time tonight. So let me know in the chat if you can hear me. If you can hear me, let me know in the chat so that I would just know to go straight ahead. To go straight ahead. Tonight, we're gonna be very quick. All right. So while I'm waiting to see responses, let me just go over what I'm majorly going to be working on for my trading in the coming weeks. Weeks. Okay. First of all, it's been a while. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. George, good evening. I saw your I saw your comments today saying that I I didn't I didn't review your stuff on one of your I didn't review one of your um previous weekly performance reports. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So we're live, and like I was saying, what I want to do is I want to take note of what I need to do for the next few weeks. In fact, my focus for Q2. Right. So here's what I noticed over the past couple of weeks. Now, I just hope my screen is actually really showing. Okay. So now I've seen that if you guys know how I trade, you know that how I trade is pretty much what we call the origin, or you could say the confirmation setup, which is that I want to see. All right, beautiful, my people. Oh, wasn't this George? It was another George. I think that was Oluwamayowa George. Okay, not this George. Okay, okay, that's fine. So if you know how I trade, you know that I want to see that typical. If this is a 4 hour key level, let's say I want to buy. Let's just use this for example. Let's say I want to see price reject off it 4 hour, and 4 hour closes above. Then I want to see a bullish engulfing with inducement, and then I want to take my trade from there. That's the either origin. You could call it origin. You could call it confirmation setup, and hmm, that works pretty much for me, especially because I like things to be mechanical. Mechanical in the sense that I have a I have a step by step approach to things, and most importantly, the risk is always very well defined for me. So I have issues where I cannot seem to properly define my risk. However, when it comes to the continuation setup, I have I've done my studies. This is my spreadsheet here. I've done my studies, and I know what it means to take. You're welcome. You're welcome, Isaac. I know what it means to take. Denko, I see you. So may no be like say I don't see you, I see you. Yes, so I know what it means to that's some data on the what would I call it on the continuation setup, which for me is most reliable on the 4 hour. On the 4 hour. So since I've gotten that data, I should theoretically have more confidence in taking continuation setups. And once in a while I tend to do that. But for whatever reason I missed out on this yesterday because I was trying to get a confirmation of this. And I think Isaac has mentioned it before, but I've also seen it a couple of times or a few times that typically continuations don't tend to give continuations don't tend to give confirmations. It will just continue. So I've seen that. So right here you have this rejection from this 4 hour key level, and I was trying to see if I could get a okay. I think I should hide that instead. Trying to see if I could get a continuation, or rather a confirmation from this side. You have that rejection, you have this, either you come from here or you take it from here. I think what I had was on the 30 minutes. I had something very clear on the 30 minutes with inducement. Right. Yes. So it's very clear. There's an engulfing there. There's an inducement here. So I want to take a sale from here. But from my observation, both not just yesterday. So in case anybody's watching this and you're thinking, oh, just one time or two times. No, no, no. It's not just yesterday. Typically, I've tried to observe the setup over time, and I've seen that continuation setups don't tend to give confirmations. In fact, I've had a situation where there was a continuation like this, and I was thinking of taking a confirmation, and price violated my SL very well. So the continuation is the continuation, and once the move is done, that entire thing is usually done. Hardly do you have a situation where price comes back here to play. Hardly, but it sometimes happens. So what I'm going to work on, what I'm going to focus on for the next few weeks when it comes to continuation setups, if I see, or where I see this 4 hour, right, especially with Fortman has given us the source. You have this single candle formation right here. Single candle formation serving as both internal and external liquidity, right? You have that. Once you have this, and then you have this key level here, then I'm going to be going in with this. If I have this, for example, typically. So how do I approach my stop loss? I would approach it in two ways. Because normally, if this was a confirmation setup or origin setup, what I would naturally do is I would just want to put my, let me see if I can find one. I just want to put my stop loss above the high. Mm, okay, let's just assume for, you know, without much context, let's assume this is where I wanted to enter, right? I would put my stop loss right here. Come on. I'll put my stop loss below this low, just a little bit below it. And I'll be targeting, wherever I'm targeting. Now, my issue with continuation has always been, where do I put my stop loss and how do I know where my stop loss should be? So two things for me, if I have this kind of 4 hour setup, I might want to drop down to the 1 hour, right? Drop down to the 1 hour, and I want to see, okay, what other key levels do I have close to my entry? This is my entry key level. You have this here. You also have this guy here. You also have, so this is about the closest key level, closest major key level that you could expect. Possibly price could also react from there. Um, so in this case now, a very good place to put my stop loss would be above that key level. Above that key level. So I could come as far as here, which is 8 pips, or I could cover that a bit. Either way, 9 pips generally, 8 pips is generally fine for GU. For NZD USD, about 8 pips too is generally fine. Or you just cover that nearest structural high or low, depending on what it is. So that's what I'll be looking out for the next 2 weeks. I think I've gotten to a point where I am pretty comfortable with this setup, especially when it comes to what you call single candle formation. You have that single candle serving as internal liquidity. You have this key level playing out. Same thing happened on gold. So okay, let me use this opportunity to record this. If to record this in my spreadsheet so that you guys can see. Yeah, Omotayo, we just started not too long ago, a few minutes ago. So you are welcome. All right, so let me show you guys how I typically record in my spreadsheets for anyone that has never seen this before. So first thing I would want to do, I would continue with, or I could just copy this first of all. I could just copy this and start from editing that. I don't know how clear this is. Let me zoom in. All right. So I want to have my day and my date. This was yesterday. This was Friday. The date automatically populates. So it's GBP USD. It's what I call the bike setup. The reference time frame is 4 hours. Entry time frame is 4 hours. 4 hours. 4 hours. Right. So was there an inducement? Yes, there was an inducement. Was it a long or a short? It was a sell or a short. R is your reward on the setup on the trade. So let me go back and put my I think I will also show us what happened on gold as well, because gold did basically the exact same thing. So let's say I'm comfortable with 8 pips here, right? And I was actually going to target this low. So that would have been a 5.8. So let's just say 5R. Um, reference target 5R as well. So for this now, in fact, I think I can see realized R here. That makes it clearer. So what I typically do, if it's a trade I actually took, and whatever reward I realize on the trade is what I put here, what I put in this column. Then whatever the final or the target reward would have been if I had held it to full TP. So when I say full TP, it's not the TP that I set, but when I say full TP, I'm talking about when you want to trade, you're trading from, for example, 1 4 hour key level. Someone says screen is not showing. I need someone to help me confirm. Please confirm if that's also the case on your side so that I can remedy that ASAP. If you're in the chat, please help me confirm. Is the screen not showing? If it isn't, let me know. If it is, then let me know as well. It's good. Okay, thank you. So please just check your stuff. Maybe refresh or something like that. It might be a device issue. So I was saying this is realized R, right? This is realized R. On this trade, for example, I took this trade last week, upper week. I took this trade, and then what I got was this. I had this. This was on trading view, it's going to show you 5R, but in reality I got 4R because I have to compensate for spread with my prop. So let's go back to what I'm trying to show you guys. I'm just showing you how I log. If you're just joining, I'm showing you how I log in trade ideas, or not ideas now, trades that have either played out and I want to like record that data, or trades that I took, either of the two, but it has played out, so I'm trying to record the data. Let me get rid of all these guys and this as well. So moving on. So the exit method, for exit method, I'm trying to say, was it a TP? Was it a trailing stop loss? And was it a sometimes you have what you call user close. I got this terminology from prop firms. But did I close it myself? Did I either close it impulsively, or I closed it because there was something that made me close it? There was something I saw, either technically or maybe something was happening personally. Why? So I closed it. That's user close. And then if it's a take profit, I waited for it to hit my take profit. That's TP. If it's a trailing stop, because I trail my stop as price moves in my direction, I would write trading stop here. You can see trading SL. Okay, what did I write here? I said I closed before market closed. So I wrote the reason why I closed here. So market was going to close maybe a few minutes in the trade was on while market was going to close, or there was a rollover period. So I closed before that. So those are the reasons why I want to close a trade. I don't just want to close arbitrarily. Since it's not a trade that I took, well, TP is the exit method. So MAE, we talked about this a few times. MAE is maximum adverse excursion. I will write it out in full so that you can see maximum adverse excursion. That's MAE. And MFE, which is this one right here, is maximum favorable excursion. Favorable. That's MFE. And what does it mean? It's not any big deal. It's just what we would call your drawdown. Maximum adverse excursion is your drawdown. So when you entered, from the time when you entered the trade, for example, this is a short that I'm trying to record. From the time when I entered this trade, how much against my direction, I could measure it in pips, I could measure it in percentage of my stop loss, I could measure it however I want. Personally, I measure in pips because I want to record this, and long term, I want to have an understanding of how many pips generally do I need for my SL. I don't have that understanding. I like to have that data so that sometimes there's sometimes that you might not have a very very solid technical reason for your stop loss. So if I don't have a very solid technical reason for my stop loss, I just know that out of 200 trades that I have recorded on this pair, most of the time, overwhelmingly, the maximum drawdown or maximum adverse excursion is not more than maybe 10 pips. So I don't need to have my stop loss be more than 10 pips, you know. And since I've been recording this, I think I've had maybe one outlier, or if a few outliers, but one major outlier where the stop loss was about 20 pips, right? But most of the time it's usually between 8 to 10 pips for GU, for NU, which are the pairs I normally trade. So for this now, what's the maximum adverse excursion? I'm going to take my ruler tool and I'm going to measure from the entry, right, to the top there where it went the farthest against me, and that's 4.2 pips. So I'm going to record that here. 4.2 pips. MFE is maximum favorable excursion. So how far in your direction did the trade go? For the purposes of how I record, I just record for the day, typically either for the day or maybe for a few days, because I can't start calculating it all the time into the future. So I'll measure from that entry as well. I measure here, and it went as far as, that's 63.6 pips. All these things, they are things that I do for different reasons, which you might not need to do, but they are very, very good data points to have. So I want to know the session in which this entry happened. This was 1 o'clock Nigerian time. So I think this is New York session. I think that's New York session. Guys, is it New York session? Let me know. Hope I'm not getting it wrong. Okay, so 1 o'clock. Entry time 1 o'clock. Exit time. This is 4:50. So I'm gonna write that down. 1 o'clock, 16:50, and I want to know what the duration of my trade was. So from time out to time in, this minus this, the whole trade, if I was in it, it would have taken me 3 hours 50 minutes. That's 4 hours basically in that trade. And then lastly, I want to take notes. Do I have any notes I want to take? Maybe for this, I would say ensure to, I'll just say perfect. This is a perfect continuation setup. SCF, that's single candle formation, 4 hour plus IPA plus inducement. No reason to miss it next time. So I have that there. And then lastly, I want to take a screenshot of the trading view charts. I'm not connected to my, I like to use my wide monitor for this normally. But anyway, I'll just take this the way it is. Screenshots. This is 4 hour time frame. So I copy that link and then I paste it here. Bam. So that's generally how I record my trades, either trades that I took or trades that I didn't take, or I just observed, or I come back and I see that, oh, this thing played out, and then I want to record it in my data set. I mentioned gold. We had something very, very similar on gold as well. See, you have this single candle serving as internal range and external range liquidity. You already have a breakout to the downside on the 4 hour. In fact, it broke two major structural points. It broke this and it broke this as well. So every reason to short from this open close right here, as far as your imagination can take you. If you short up to here, you're gonna have you're gonna have something like this, maybe 5R, depending on your stop loss. If you were able to hold it longer, you could do more. Oh, I think stop loss here would have been around 3 pips. Yeah. So that's that about that on the technical side. You guys know that I would hardly open charts, but I felt and I believe that it was necessary this week because I think I've gotten to a point where I am extremely familiar with what goes on when it comes to continuation setups. And hence, I should begin to maximize or to leverage on those setups with more confidence. I think I have something similar. Yes, I saw this as well last week. I've not been trading gold because last time I traded gold, it took me into deep drawdown. So you don't struggle with what's not working for you. That's my mantra. So you have this as well. This 4 hour key level, V-shaped key level, disrespected, respected, disrespected, respected, disrespected again. And then you have this inducement right here, and price came to react off it and took off. So it's a setup that I believe I've actually gotten. I'm just not extremely confident when it comes to placing stop loss because it's not what I normally like to see. However, um, if I tell myself the truth, I have to evolve beyond my comfort zone, and I think that's the next thing that needs to happen now for me to progress. Okay, so that's that about that. Let's look at the form for today. This week I didn't take any trades. I actually had a couple of things I was looking at, and I would have entered. I had this NZD USD short that happened. I was looking at this guy. But I wasn't in the market when it played out. I think it played out around 10 p.m., which is close to market close. And I was busy doing other things. But this was absolutely fantastic. You have that sweep and break. If you check the line chart, you have that sweep and that break. You have this liquidity forming here, and there's a double break to the downside. So in terms of structure, it is obvious that we are bearish at this point. So once you have that liquidity there, there's nowhere for price to go up here. Just takes this liquidity, taps into this QM, and starts sliding down. So this was a beautiful one. I saw that Schofield caught it. Imagine catching from here to here, and a couple of other guys as well. Okay. Enough chats. I said I should use this time to study because I've not had a lot of time to study this week. Work has kept me real busy outside of the charts. So let's see what we have. Sunday Israel was going to submit this last week, and he said we tried to wait, but we couldn't get it in before we ended the call last week. Ooh, time. All right, so how many trades did you take this week? So this is last week's stuff. Let me just review it. It took 4 trades. You had net result of 1 hour. Top trades, Euro. What did you do well this week? You showed up daily. Okay. Key challenges, emotional challenge, closed the trade moving against his direction, and then it later turned a winner. Okay, so very good. Let me get through this, then I'll address what's going on here. I was very poor in managing my trades. Okay. GBP USD hit stop loss. I was thinking Euro USD would do the same, but it was a winner, so it affected my remaining trading days for the week. Okay. What will you do next week better? I will manage my emotions and stick to my plan. Show up daily, repeat the process for improvement in trading. What will you focus on improving next week? Managing my emotions and believing anything can happen. How do you plan to do this? Journaling every step in the process. Okay, that's good. Now let me say this. Emotional challenge. Um okay. Now we're dealing with money in this market, right? But the truth is that you don't have as much of an emotional challenge. In fact, as I'm thinking about it, it's true not just on the charts. It's also most of the things that are true in trading, which is one of the reasons I love trading a lot. Most of the things that are true in trading are also true in life generally. Many times when we think we have emotional challenges or when we get emotional about certain issues, most of the time it just reflects a fundamental lack of understanding. So many times what we call emotional issues are not really emotional issues as much as it is they're actually logical issues. They're actually logical issues because there is a logical perspective from which your emotions will disappear. If, for example, somebody is shouting at you, screaming at you at the top of their voice, and from a logical perspective, you know that the fact that the person is screaming at you doesn't mean anything to you in terms of your self esteem, it doesn't affect you. The person that is shouting is them, it's about them, it's not about you. You don't have to respond with emotion, you don't have to shout back if you actually have that understanding. But many times the emotional, because we're not just logical rational creatures, the emotional side of our brain takes over and kills that understanding that we think we have. So you think you have that understanding. Oh, if you are looking at somebody else that is reacting to a situation, you feel like that person is being emotional until you are in that situation. But fundamentally, the truth also is that it's just an understanding issue. What we call emotional issues are just understanding issues. And I'll put it to you like this. If you know that in a week, right, somebody is going to give you $5,000 for sure, you know for sure that in a week somebody is going to give you $5,000, you are not going to feel somehow about misplacing $100. I mean, uh, all things being equal, for the sake of the for the sake of the illustration, if you misplace $100 or you can't find $100, it will be easy for you to say, well, okay, I'm getting 5,000 next week. Right. So if you are trading and you understand that, for instance, because you took a loss today, doesn't mean that you won't take a win tomorrow, then it wouldn't affect your emotions if you truly understood it. And what brings us to that point of understanding? What brings us to that point of understanding is deep study and gathering data, a large sample size of data. I was speaking to someone last week. I think last week or this week, last weekend. I was speaking to someone and I said, look, you don't seem to know what you're doing on the charts, right? Okay, fine. Take one setup, maybe two, but one. Just take one setup and gather at least 100 different trades focused on that setup. Gather that sample size and come back and see whether you don't understand what you're doing. And I even won't tell him 100. I just told him 20 because for everyone in the group that has reached out to me and said, oh, I don't seem to really understand my setup, my entries, I just tell them, go home, define your entries, define your setup, define what you want to see that's going to make you trade. And then just find 20 examples of this that fit exactly what you're looking for. Take a screenshot of them. By the time you are done, you will recognize your setup in the markets. So many times, what we refer to as emotional issues is actually a lack of understanding, a lack of thorough understanding. And that lack of understanding typically stems from, or something that can help that understanding is that we have thoroughly studied a model or studied an entry, and then we can speak with confidence about it. Also, if you have studied a model or studied an entry very well, you know that the fact that you take a win now doesn't mean you can't take a loss later. And the fact that you take a loss later doesn't mean you can't take a win after that. Because you are not in charge of the markets. All you are in charge of is spotting your model that you know works based on your back testing and executing when you see that model. Executing when you see that model. So if you also, now the second statement, you close the trade moving against your direction. If you had a trade moving against your direction, there is a reason why you have the stop loss. And when you enter any trade, you must be willing to lose what you are defining. When you define your risk, you must be willing to let the market play out because you have already defined your risk. So the only thing that should actually make you anxious is if you didn't define your risk in a trade. But if you've defined your risk, let the trade play out. Because you don't have unlimited risk. You have limited risk. So just let it play out. If it hits your stop loss, it's fine. If it hits your stop loss and goes towards your take profit, it's still fine. because that's not the last trade you ever take in your life. And I've said this over and over again. One trade, one trade should not be able to change your life if you are trading properly. And that's both positive and negative. You shouldn't make such outsized returns on a single trade because you are taking so much risk, right? Because that risk could also go south. And if your risk goes south, then what happens to your ability to trade later? So you should always trade in such a way that you still have something to trade with when you're done with this one particular trade, right? So you close the trade moving against your direction. Why you did this is because you did not accept the loss. You didn't accept the risk you were taking beforehand. All right. So now this is also a thing. You said it later turned a winner. And this is the problem with defining the good or bad actions based on the outcome. You don't define whether an action you took was good or bad based on what happened when you took that action. You define that the action was good or bad because you followed a proven and tested trading plan. Let me say it again. Because what happens if you define your outcome, your if you define your action based on your outcome, what happens is that the day you take a bad action that leads to a seemingly good action outcome, you're going to put yourself in trouble for the future. Your mind is going to reward you for taking bad actions. Your mind, your emotional system, your chemical system in your body is going to reward you for taking bad actions, and then you're going to keep on, for example, breaking your plan, your trading plan going forward, just because you have done it once and it seemed to work out. So define the goodness or badness of your actions by your plan. How well are you trading your plan? That's what's important. How well are you trading your plan? If you are sure that the plan you have crafted out is going to lead you to profitability in the long run, then you should define your actions by that plan, not by the outcome of those actions. So if you took a trade you were not supposed to take and it ended up as a profitable trade, you should find a way to disassociate your mind from that, bad risk and good reward. Because otherwise you will keep on taking bad risks. You just keep on taking bad risks. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on. Um so another issue here is that if one pair hits your stop loss, you're trading two different pairs. One pair seems to hit a stop loss. It doesn't mean another one will hit stop loss. It just means it just means that one trade has hit stop loss and that's it. So in this case, yeah, it's a good thing that it happened this way, because next time you would understand that you don't need to correlate your trades. More often than not, correlation is a distraction. So take the amount of risk you can afford. If you feel like you can only afford to take one trade at a time, then do that, so that this doesn't, that's a way to mitigate this. Otherwise, once you have a trade, just leave the trade, let it play out. The fact that GBP, of course, several times GU can be selling, EU can be buying. Maybe sometime in London session, EU can be selling, GU can be buying, and then maybe by New York session, both of them seem to be correlated again. So correlation on the very short term is not something you should really apply to your trading. So yeah, stick to your plan, which is what you said you would do here, and I hope you did it this past week. All right, let's see what we got here. This is Ken. I'm not sure I've seen this name here before. Is this week? This was last week too. Okay, let me just read this. Executed two trades. You had 5-hour results. GU buys, EJ buys. Calm and patient. Beautiful. Key challenge is just 1.5% to passing first phase. And Loki, you're scared of executing next trade, even when everything played out well. Like the EU buys on Friday, GJ sells. Fully set, but when the opportunity, you got scared to execute. Okay, so you let fear take over your decision making. Why? Because you don't want to lose. I like this. I like this. I like this. So what do you want to do? You want to eliminate fear of execution and stop canceling orders due to fear. by always reminding yourself and being willing to take the risk. I think that's straightforward. There's nothing to add there. And I hope you improved on it this last week. Vinny, I think this is still last week. This is still last week. Okay. Took 5 trades, net result 6.3 R. That was good. GU top 1 to 3 trades. Held your trade to TP just as you said. Nice, good one. Okay, key challenges, prop firm rules to pass the trade made you take some low probability trades. This is not true. It didn't make you. You took because you considered them, but nothing made you. Nothing makes you do anything. You are entirely in charge of all your decisions. So this language here is not language I like to see from a trader. Nothing made you. You took decisions because of or in consideration of something, but you need to learn to take ultimate personal responsibility, even in the language that you use to speak to yourself about your trading. In what area did you perform poorly? Emotions, taking trades on Monday. So yeah, it's in your plan not to take trades on Monday. So I think last week you did well on that. Why, when you reach your profit target and you still have to get 0.5 the next day? Now this is another thing. Now this person, because I know him personally, he had passed the pro firm, or he reached the pro firm target, and they said, oh, you have to trade for 3 days. You have to make 0.5% on three different days profit. So he had to take another day of trading where he made at least 0.5% profit. And the if you look at this wording here, you see that the next day is the issue. So it didn't have to be the next day. It could have been 2 days after. It could have been 3 days after. It could have been anytime. It didn't have to be the next day. Like I always say, patience is paramount in trading. It's paramount. If you don't take a trade this week, I didn't take any trade this week. Some of it was my fault. I can't lie. But I didn't take any trade this week, and it doesn't mean anything. I have other things that I'm doing. Right. The fact that you don't take a trade in a day or in a week doesn't mean that you are not a trader. Day trading, like Fortman would say, day trading is not everyday trading. So it didn't have to be the next day. And one thing that happens, I've mentioned it before, that if you are in a state where you're very excited, or you're in a state where you're very, very emotional, you should try and avoid trading. It's the same thing I try and do personally. Especially when there's a seeming setback with maybe your prop firm account, maybe an account you wanted to trade, maybe funds you wanted to trade, you should take a step back and find a way to reevaluate the situation and bring yourself back to an emotional equilibrium. Because whether you like it or not, you could have been affected emotionally by the prop firm telling you, oh, you can't get your phase 2 account right now. You have to still get another day of 0.5% profits. So when you have emotional issues like that, it's good to take a step back and say, okay, I don't have to trade tomorrow. In fact, I don't have to trade next week. Whenever I see a setup that conforms to my plan, I will trade. All right. So suggestions for improvement in your trading process: you want to hold your trade once bias is set, avoid trading on Monday, and be mechanical about trading and engage in EOD daily. Yeah, I've seen that EOD's end of day, like, so end of day reviews, end of day markups, it has really benefited us. So what will you focus on improving next week? Sticking to the highly probable trades. How do you plan to do this by end of day reviews? All right. So for this week now, I believe. All right, beautiful. This week, Denko, my guy. Yes. So you took 4 trades. You had 3R profits, net results. That's good. What were your top trades of the week? So let's see what this looks like. Oh, this is beautiful. USD JPY. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. You have that liquidity ticking. You have that rejection from this key level. You have a breakout. You have inducement. This is absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. You followed your plan very well, and you can say you did well on your bias. What were the key challenges you faced? Expectation. I like that. What area do you perform? You had fear of losing. So due to the copy of losses you had last 2 weeks, made you not to take some of your setups, and they played out well. These markets. So the fact that you have taken losses doesn't mean that you won't see wins in front. And the fact that you have taken losses doesn't mean that your next trade will still not be a loss. But there's no way to know if you don't. I always say there's only one way to find out, and that's by executing. Planning, all those things, they won't help you find out. But there's only one way to find out whether your trade is going to play out or not, and that's to execute. When something plays out and you're not in it, it wasn't a trade. It wasn't a trade because you didn't execute. So you want to work on your expectation. You rated yourself a 5. So you want to study more on bias as you did this last week, more patient and calm as you know what you're looking for to happen. How do you want to do this to monitor the market? Okay, something that can help you with patience and calmness. I was discussing with, oh, it was even you. It was you, it was Denko now. Yes, so something that can help you with patience and calmness. Okay, was it? Okay, I told Denko something that I was discussing with someone else. I think it was Nicholas. And I was saying that, look, one thing that helps you to actually be calm and to not to make certain mistakes in the market is when you have something else that is taking your attention, when you have something else that you're trying to make money from. So whether it's a job, whether it's a business, whether it's you know it's a business model that you're working on, something that's going to help you make money outside of trading that you're working on, whether you're working on it actively or you're working towards it, is actually going to help you a lot. Because then you know that, first of all, trading is not the only way you make money or to make money. And then, second of all, if you succeed in this thing, if you push to a point where you're actually making money from that other endeavor that you're working on, or you make more money from that endeavor that you're working on, then it's going to be easier for you to trade because you're going to take that pressure of making money off of your trading. I've said this countless times. It's a life hack. That's why I've been on a phase 2 for the past, I don't know. I think it's about 6 months. I've been on the phase 2 of an account because I don't need the money. It would be nice to get the money because that's going to mean I can scale up my trading faster. But because I don't need it, I'm not under serious pressure to trade every week or every day. Right. So that's yeah, it might look like one is speaking from a place of privilege, but the truth is that if you can get yourself to a point where you have that privilege, it will skyrocket your trading. I tell you. So you won't need to be rushing into trades or be impatient because something is not playing out. You will know that this is not what you're looking at to majorly make money. You have other things that you're doing to bring in income. And this, even if it's bringing money, it will be supplemental. It won't be the major thing that you're relying on. When you are trying to rely on trading, I had this thing from a Jimmy in a particular interview I posted on the group. He said his trading transformed when he wasn't needing to rely on trading to make a living. So that helps you get patient. So even if it's not particularly money making, it could just be some endeavor that takes you outside of the charts. It could be reading. I always say this could be reading, it could be studying something outside of trading, it could be exercise, it could be some other endeavor or venture that develops yourself outside of trading, such that you don't always have to pay close attention to the charts and end up taking maybe trades that you're not supposed to take, or you get impatient and you wonder how long you're going to sit staring at this chart before you take a trade. So that's that. Okay, Vinny, for this week you took 2 trades, minus 0.6 R, no top trade. You were patient this week. You had an emotional roller coaster because the PA of the week, price action of the week, get that CB, but you had to follow up your trading plan. The PA price action made you make some low probability analysis. Okay, so what area do you perform poorly? Just staring at charts when not supposed to. Why? PA and needed to pass phase 2. You see that thing I just outlined now, which is that you feel like you need to pass phase 2 and you feel like you need to pass it in a hurry, even though there is no time limit. You don't have any time limit. Oh, okay, good. I'm just catching up with the charts now. Yes, was desperate, I guess. Exactly. So you don't need to pass phase 2 now. It would be nice if you do. And but what you need to do is focus on executing the next good trade. The next good trade. That's what you need to do. Focus on executing the next good trade, not on passing a phase or not passing a phase. Right. So you say none. You say you didn't exhibit any bad trading habits except allowing your profit to turn back to loss. So this is a very, very bad trading habit. Except you are just trying to say that it happened, but it wasn't because of a trading habit. So if this happened because you were trading the way you're supposed to trade, then maybe you might want to find something to do about it, or you could just leave it if you are following your plan. But if this happened because you didn't follow your plan to maybe preserve profits as you were going up or something, then you need to work on it. I had last year I had a series of trades where I would see a lot of floating profits and end up going on with a loss, not even break even. And then I had to begin to, tweak my break even protocols and tweak my profit preservation protocols. So trading my stop loss and stuff like that. So what's your suggestion for improvement in your trading process? You want to wait, you want to follow your plan, and then simply hit TP. Not your focus for on improving for next week is to simply hit TP. I like that. I like that. I think that's my focus too. That's my focus too. It's a good focus. How do you plan to do this? You wait, execute, rest, you repeat. All right, that's good. And then let's look at Black Kings. Okay. You took 5 trades, you had 13 RR. This guy, I've said it before. Maybe I should give you my accounts to trade because what? All right, what's this? This is odd JPY. Okay, so you had that break to the downside. This 4 hours. Okay, that break to the downside, and then liquidity here. You took your entry from here. Oh, okay, your entry was from here. All right, fantastic, fantastic. You said you didn't know how to get the other trade. Oh, you didn't know you didn't get the other trade. Okay. Um, you were able to take all your trades this week. That's fantastic. That's good. That's real good. Your confidence jilted this week because of losses you had in previous weeks. So you closed your trade too early. Okay. Because you've had some losses before. And it was looking like price will reverse on you. So this is one of the reasons why the thing you have to train yourself on over time is how to make sure that you can execute the same thing over and over again mechanically, even when it comes down to your risk management. So for me now, hardly would I hardly would I close a trade just like that. Very, very rarely. And I would always make sure I'm doing it consciously. Because if hardly would I do that because I feel like price is reversing on me, because I've already defined all my parameters before the trade. I've set my stop loss. If trade is moving in my direction, I move my stop loss. I trail my stop loss according to my plan. Right. So yeah, fear of losses. You shouldn't have fear of losses because you can't expect to be in this market and only win. I mentioned it during the boot camp. Losses are not negative, and wins are not positive. Your losses and your wins come together to form your edge, which is what is ideally should be positive. So you should have a positive expectancy if you take losses and wins over a period of time. So there's no reason to fear losses, right? Maybe getting payouts to help boost your confidence again. Okay, so I hope by now, I hope you are working on getting your payouts. I think it's Black Kings on this call. Can you refresh your page? I'm not seeing your page. Okay, if you can't see me, that might be your issue. But if you can hear me, then it's fine. If you can just hear me, if you can, if other is there any other person that can't see my page? If you can't see my page, let me know. Okay, looks like. Oh, you say you've logged out 3 times. If you're having an issue seeing my page, let me know. Let me see. Okay, I think it should be better now. Okay, I think it should be done now. It should be good now. So let me know if it's okay. Isaac said Black King should give me 3 hour and keep it 10. I swear that guy is just it's just so now let's go on. My trading process is okay. I just need to build more confidence. I've said in this call what is going to build more confidence. Study and your data. Gather your data. For example, the trade here that you said you didn't know you didn't get the other trade. Still go back to the chart. Look for where you took the trade. Look for why you took the trade. Screenshot it, put it in your journal. You know, those are the things that help us build confidence. And one thing, see, when you take a series of losses, for me, when I take a series of losses, what I do is I review two things. Number one, am I doing everything I can do right according to my plan? Am I doing everything I can do right? Am I getting bias wrong? So maybe my mind is focused on a particular bias. I review those two things. If nothing is wrong with those two things, then I go and look at, in fact, even if something is wrong with those two things, then I could go and look at my wins, my previous wins. I took this trade, it was 3 hour. I took this trade, it was 5 hour. I took this trade, and I'm at a point where I don't even need to do that because I can remember some of the trades I've taken. I can remember the day I came to my laptop, I saw a setup, I placed a trade, I placed a limit. I went inside, went to do other things, came back, I've hit profit already. So I can remember all of those. And I know that the fact that I took a couple of losses or three or four or five doesn't mean I will not take wins in the future, you know. So if you need to build confidence, go and look at the wins you have taken before. Look at exactly what brought you those wins in terms of your um setup, in terms of your setup, your process, and realize that you can replicate them again. So you want to be more positive on your trades instead of looking at the side. So instead of looking at the downside, you've already covered the downside by setting your stop loss. There's no further thing you need to look at, right? Once you've set your stop loss, don't worry about whatever the trade is going to do again. You understand? Exactly. So you were focused on a particular bias, then you had the rest and you bounced back. That's nice. So okay, you want to get the so you see this issue of payouts and prop firms, right? One one thing we can do for ourselves is try and think about, yes, the prop firms have their rules, they have their, but try and think in terms of, if this was my personal account, right? If this is my personal account, I won't be under any pressure to, you know, get my payout or get profitable days, or I wouldn't be under that pressure. So I shouldn't allow that pressure to get to my actual trading. I had to chill out from the chat. I like that. I like that. So you already know something that can help you whenever you're having an issue, whenever it looks like you're not getting your bias right. You can just chill. You don't have to be in the trade. You don't have to be on the charts. If you're not seeing something right. All right. Time is fast spent. I would have liked to record my own stuff on this call, but basically I already mentioned at the beginning of the call that what I want to focus on for the next few months is I want to focus on including more executions of um, that continuation setup in my in my including more of that continuation setup in my executions of my trades. That's one major thing I want to focus on within the next few months, so that I can have that full range of trading setup at my arsenal. There are other setups, of course, but at least those two, if I have those two, I know that I'll be more flexible in the markets. I didn't take any trade this week. I should have taken that 4 hour QM trade, and I should have taken the sale yesterday, but it is what it is. We move for next week. Vinny say pressure day in my country. Of course, there's pressure, but you can't let it get to you. You can't afford to let it get to you. All right, guys. It's been a pleasure having this meeting. Wow, we had as many as 30 concurrent. Not even had. It looks like we have like 29 concurrent people on the stream right now. Is that right? Is that correct? Okay. Wow. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for joining tonight's thank you for joining tonight's trade performance review. Yes, continuation setup shows more than origin setup, sincerely. So I can't be dulling now. Anything that makes you consider it must be supernatural. See, from now I'm gonna consider because yeah, there's some profits I shouldn't leave on the table. Some I shouldn't leave on the table. Especially when it's very, very clean and clear. You take the risk and you move. All right, guys, have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful week next week. Let's all remember to do, to put in our best in the game. When you wake up, Isaac said something this week that was very strong for me. Like when you wake up, think about express gratitude. Express gratitude. If you believe in God, like I do, express gratitude to God for the opportunity to exist in such a space where there is more possibility than impossibility, you know. So, is there a way I can help you with screenshot of my journal? Um, are you in Benjamin Protocol? Then Kenneth, if you are in Benjamin Protocol, then you should. I think I have my a link to my stuff there. If you're not in Benjamin Protocol, then you could just reach out to me. You could reach out to me. My trading journal, I think I have a you are so no. Just tag me on the group or tag anybody on the group. They should be able to point it out to you. Maybe tag Denko. Let Denko help me. Denko help me find that link of my spreadsheet that I did on the group. And um let Kenneth Daniel have it. Thank you very much. Vinny said you take everything. And I will survive to tell the story once our account go to law. Yeah, man. I'm going to be taking continuation setups now. Yes, I've done enough work and enough research to really start getting in on it. All right, my guys, thank you so much for joining. This has been a very, very wonderful call. Very, very wonderful call. See you next week. Cheers.